Hello! It's the second part of our journey toward learning the Trimble Connect API. And previously we were able to add the extension, the sample extension provided by Trimble. It is here. But as we saw, it is hosted somewhere on the Trimble server. So we are not able to manipulate, to change what exactly is in this index HTML. So it would be nice to have the possibility to provide our HTML file. But before we can do that, we have to find out what exactly is in this file. So I will just open it as a new tab, and then I will click F12. So here in sources, I see the content of it, and we can see some CSS scripts, some styling, some basic HTML stuff of what we can see, but there are also some scripts, some JavaScript functions, which are the core, which are the essence of the interactivity between our extension and the Trimble Connect API. So I would like to somehow host this kind of a file where I will have the full control over its content. So I will be able to add some new buttons, to modify the existing ones, or just try different API functions. And to do that, I think the easiest way will be to start the local host server. It will be quite easy, so please don't be afraid. But before, let's just grab a copy of the website, and I will do it with the lazy mode. I will save only the HTML because this website is built in such a way that all of the scripts are inside of this HTML. They are embedded. So single file will be fine for us. Let's save that file, and let's just open it with some notepad, just as a text file. And here it is. So this is the content of that website. And yeah, we have it on our hard drive, but we are not able to serve, to host it, to provide this an URL. So we need to find a way how it can be done. And for that purpose, we could use the free software, which will be also our main text editor during this path. So let's download the Visual Studio Code. And this is the free software, so it can be downloaded for the main operating systems. And I am working on Windows, so I have that version installed. You can do it on your own. And after that, I will open that HTML in Visual Studio. And here it is. You notice that we have some colors, we have some schema for different parts of that HTML file. What we will be using are those, let's name it hyperlinks, those connections between the JavaScript and the HTML. They will be helpful during trying to get what exactly is going on in this file. But still, this is just a text editor. We are not able to host it. We need, for that purpose, an extension. And you can install a new stuff for the Visual Studio Code with the Extensions tab. So let's go here, and we need the live server. So let's type live server, and the most downloaded one, here it is. We need to install that just to be able to serve it. There are other possibilities, but this is the simplest, the fastest way just to get the work done. So let's install, wait a while, and after a few seconds needed for the downloading and installing, we will have a new button. On the bottom right corner, there is a button Go Live. So when we have opened some HTML file, we can click Go Live, and we have a small problem, because the way of working with Visual Studio Code, it demands from us working in some workspace, so in some directory, in some folder. So let's create the new one, and I will start with something just created for that one. So I will create the new directory like the Trimble Connect API, and in that directory I will paste our HTML file, and I will do it in the background just to get it done. And here it is. So here we have the directory Trimble Connect API, and inside of that there is the HTML downloaded from the website. So now, after doing such a ceremony, we can click Go Live, and the browser will start with a new website. And of course, it looks exactly the same like the previous one, because the content is the same. We have downloaded the original one, and now we are hosting it locally on our machine. It can be accessed only from our machine, so please don't worry, no one will try to hack your machine. But yeah, we are now able just to use the URL inside of the Trimble Connect, because we don't have an access over that website. So we downloaded its content and triggered our live server locally just to try how we can manipulate the API. So I am just copy pasting that hyperlink and pasting it here, and I will save the file. And yeah, nothing major changed. So probably you don't believe that anything is different. So let's maybe start with changing some things just to get you the feeling that you have now quite big powers to change the content of that extension. So I will just copy paste that name, go to the Visual Studio Code and try to find where exactly it is. Okay, so here it is. So this is the Workspace API example, and let's add one more dash and say that it is the test. I will just trigger the save operation, Control S, and in the browser I see that it was dynamically changed. So yeah, now I'm just trying to yeah, maybe like that. I will manipulate a little with the space just to get you this feeling that this live server is truly live one. So I will now remove the example. After Control S, here it is. So no major operation is needed inside of the browser. We are just working on that HTML. Okay, so we can of course change some options. We can remove some parts of that, but yeah, I will not be focusing on that side. Maybe just try to find these cameras. Let's find out where it is. Here, probably this is this button. So I will just now try to remove it, and the button had disappeared. Here it is, once more again. So let's stick with those cameras. Let's create our new button. So I will just name it like the test, and after saving, a new button is there. Of course, the styling was not set, so let's borrow just the same Bootstrap class, and yeah, this is our button. Maybe let's just change it to, yeah, now it will be clearly visible that this is something not done in the same fashion as the others. Okay, so we are able to manipulate the HTML, but we are here mainly to learn how to utilize the API of Trimble Connect Web Viewer. So to do that, let's just add an event to onClick, and I will try to use some function. But of course, we don't have it currently, so I will just try to get something, and let's provide some test function name. And of course, currently, after trying to trigger the button, nothing will happen because we don't have that function. So we are just getting some errors inside of the console of our DevTools. So we need to add this test function, and I will do that somewhere here. So I just clicked F12 on some function reference to get to the place where it probably will fit. But of course, we are not here to create the clean code. We are just trying to get the basic understanding. Okay, so how those things are working. So that HTML button has some event on click, and after clicking that, we will go directly to this test function. And at the beginning, let's just try the easiest way. So just try to log something into the console. Test from inside of test function. I will type it, save, and then after triggering this test, now I am getting that button here. So this console log is just for the showing some text, some object. It depends on your needs. And let's try to manipulate with the API. So at the beginning, I will just maybe get the camera. So I will copy paste that line. And now my test function at the very beginning is just getting the camera. But okay, what exactly this camera is? So now instead of printing some random stuff, I will print the camera. And now let's just click the button, and now I see the camera, the JSON object, which represents the basic stuff needed for telling what are we looking for and where exactly we are. And I see that one of those properties is field of view. So let's try to change that. And based on the naming, I am just thinking that, yeah, let's take a guess. I will use a field of view. Maybe there will be no misspelling. Let's change it for something bigger. And of course, that's not enough. We have to inform the Workspace API that, hey, the camera has changed, because this is what we would like to get. So let's trigger maybe this function, like the set camera. And this is the async, but yeah, for now, don't think too much about that stuff. And what I am trying to do here. At the beginning, I am just getting the current camera. Then I am changing the field of view of that. And I am telling the Trimble Connect API, hey, this is the new camera. So after saving this HTML, I will press the button, and yeah, the camera is exactly on the same point. It is looking exactly in the same direction, but the field of view is much bigger. So we see more. Of course, if I will go in the crazy mode, something like that, and do the same, then yeah, my visibility is much slower. It's less. Okay, so that is about the camera. And maybe then let's try to add some stuff about the objects. So yeah, maybe it is time to open the documentation and to see how we can interact with that API. So I will just open some Trimble Connect Workspace API. There is some sort of documentation. Here it is. And of course, if you don't know the naming, it will be quite hard. So you can always stick to the sample and try to see, okay, so what exactly this action is doing. But when you will have some basic knowledge about how the things are named, then looking into the documentation, it should be much easier. But yeah, this is not searchable, or maybe it will be. I would like, yeah, it is searchable. Nice. I want to get the selection, to get what user currently selected, and I see that there is this function, get selection. Let's find out. Okay, so we have some function, and nothing more. So we should try to find out on which object we can invoke that function. So this is all about the viewer API. Maybe not very helpful looking on that side. Of course, yeah, after trying to figure out how this is working, I know how it should be invoked, but yeah, API, viewer, and get selection. Do I need to provide some arguments? Let's find out. Get selection, and no, there are no arguments, so it should just return something. So I will now try to select that object. Okay, it will be that, and now I will be mainly working on them because I want to find out what exactly I can do with those selections. So I will now remove that camera and save the file, click the test button, and I am getting empty array with the length 0 because I have nothing selected. So let's fix that mistake and select some column, click once more this test, and here the array, it has something. So as a response, we obtained the model, the identifier of the model which holds the selected entity, and we also get some object runtime IDs. Okay, at that point we don't know exactly what are those object runtime IDs, but let's select more stuff and see what will be the response. And here we are getting some responses. So now 3 different objects were selected. And as you can see, between those 2 actions, those 2 events which I just clicked, we get also some other stuff. And the question is, where are they coming from? And what is quite, it is a very good feature of the DevTools of the Chrome or even Edge, that when you will click that hyperlink, then you will see exactly where in the code are the lines responsible for printing that statement. So now I see that it is the line 9 to 8, and of course you can see it in the DevTools or you can see it in the Visual Studio Code. It depends on your preferences, but here we can see that during the automatic connection, which just was done in the background, we set our extension, not us but the original authors, to listen to some very specific events, and we are at the very beginning printing them. So we are just showing that, hey, the camera has changed, the selection has changed, something is different. And also we are taking some actions during those events. And of course you can find out what exactly is going on, but it's not our scope for today. But this is the reason why in the console of that application, we are getting more than we expected. Okay, so let's find out once more where we were, and it was the line, here. So let's go back to our test function, and probably you slowly see that it's quite hard to manipulate over so many different functions. Some of them are from us, some of them are inherited by this downloading. So we will need a little better tooling for the proper application, but and now we are just getting the object. And let's try maybe to get their properties, just to see something like that list. Maybe it will be helpful just for the testing. So currently our test button is just providing us some model ID and some object runtime IDs, and that's all. We are not getting the properties of those objects. So let's go back to the documentation and try something with the properties. So I just think that it will be properties. So let's try to see. What do we have here? We have some object properties, but here, Viewer API, get object properties. It looks exactly what we currently need. And that function, what it needs some model ID, okay, because we need to specify in which model we would like to get those properties. And also we need to provide those runtime IDs, so those numbers which reflect to every entity in our model. And as you can see, we have it already by the selected objects. So we can quite easily, I think, let's find out, use that function to get the properties. At this stage, we don't know exactly what will be the form of that, but okay, let's try. So now I know that I have to invoke some function on the Viewer API. So let's, properties, let's name the variable, and now let's go with the viewer. Get object properties. Okay, so what is needed? We need the model ID, and also we need some runtime IDs. And I will just try to use the currently selected objects. But what is the schema of that? Okay, so we are getting some array because, there could be multiple models in our project. So let's at the very beginning do something maybe not very wise, but for our purpose it will be fine. So those will be objects within first model. Let's name it like that, very verbose one, but yeah, I just want to decrease as much as possible your confusion. So here will be our properties, and just to show you, let's name it like that. And after testing, I will see that, yeah, now I'm not getting the array of all of those models, but only the single model. So now I am ready to just use those model ID and those runtime IDs. And it should be all what is needed, but let's find out, is it truly? So I will at the end try to log those properties just to see them in the DevTools. And what we get? We get that one, okay. But for the properties, something is missing because that is empty. So something is wrong. Let's find out what exactly. Maybe there is some misspelling. Yep, there is this misspelling because we are in the JavaScript world. Hopefully in the next module we will switch to the TypeScript, but yeah, at that point I have just typed runtime IDs because I thought that it is the name of this property, but those are object runtime IDs. So I missed the first word, and without typing and all of that stuff which comes with the TypeScript, it's the hell. So now, after that fixing, I am getting the selected object, but also I am getting the properties of that. And we can find out that it looks like this is the position, and where is the position? Maybe extrusion. That is that. Yeah, exactly. Of course, yeah, the units are a little different because the API returns it in the meters, but okay, we have it. And then we have some product, and this sample IFC model is coming from Revit. It is correct. And what's more, the naming and fits, and the object type it also here. Okay, and now property sets. So all of those stuff which we are setting in the IFC for the exporting of the IFC in your BIM software. So for example, pset, Revit type, other, where it is, here it is, 26 different properties, quite a lot of them, and almost all of them, they have the same value as the name. Yeah, it looks like it is. Okay, but we are not thinking too much about the content of the IFC. We are just trying to get how we can manipulate with the API. Okay. So that is about some very basic stuff. And probably you already noticed with my mistake with those runtime IDs that it is quite hard to work in that way, because we have two different problems. The first one is the very big size of that file. We have it in the same place, the CSSs, the HTML, some JavaScript, some events, a lot of things is here. So yeah, you are probably overwhelmed, and that's a good feeling. Truly, if you are feeling overwhelmed, that it is good, because you will very soon in the next video see different way of working. So we will not work in a single file because it is very hard to maintain, very hard to understand, to show someone else that okay, so here is in line 2000 there is something like that, and in line 1000 it's something like that. And just to be clear, this is not the complaint for the Trimble side, because they have not prepared that sample for that purpose, but for us it is just a clear landmark that we need to work in a little different way, and hopefully it can be done, and we will do that on the third video. Okay, so the first thing is about the complexity made by the size of the file. We can handle that by splitting all of those functions into some smaller components. But the second problem is about the the typing, the knowing about, okay, so what I can do with the API, because I tried to look into the documentation, and of course I'm looking on that from a few days, so it's not so hard after getting the proper understanding of what is going on. But it would be very nice if after, for example, typing API viewer and something, I would get not some random stuff which can be or not be adjusted, but the proper function names, methods, and types, and everything what will decrease the chances to make mistakes, because this is the most frustrating during the development, when you are just making such silly mistakes. So for today, that's mainly all. We were able to create, to serve our HTML with extension on our machine, and after that we were able to provide it here. So now I am not working on a Trimble original file, but I am able to change it at that. So if you would like just to see what are the other possibilities, how you can tweak them, you can do it like that. It's quite easy, fast, and as you saw, Visual Studio Code with the live server, and here you are. But in the next lessons, we will create a new application from scratch using the React and TypeScript, and I think that it will be much, maybe at the beginning a little confusing what is going on, but finally you will appreciate that, okay, now I can write, you can write an extension for the viewer API. So for today, thank you, and we will see